Welcome to Pomerene Hall, a building originally constructed for just women students that has been modernized to host Ohio State's Big Data Institute. In the university's early years, there were no dorms on campus for women, so female students had to commute to campus either from nearby boarding houses or their families' homes. Sympathetic to these students, the then college's first president, Edward Orton Sr., gave the women space in his office to study or just convene between classes. After a significant growth in women on campus, in 1912, Ohio State hired a dean of women to look after their interests. Her office, as well as those of student organizations composed of women, were at the time housed in the basement of Orton Hall. Carolyn Breyfogle, the first women's dean, was hired a year after the opening of the campus's first student union, where women were not allowed to enter unless chaperoned by a male student. Early in her tenure, Breyfogle began the effort to get a separate student union built for female students, since their use of the first student union was limited. After World War I, women students began to campaign seriously for a separate building. At one point, they produced a pamphlet for state legislators touting, quote, 1,001 reasons that the lawmakers should approve the allocation of $250,000 to construct the building. Just over a decade after women students first asked for a separate union, the Women's Building opened in 1922. Designed by architecture professor Howard Dwight Smith, who also served as architect for the Ohio Stadium, Pomerene Hall contained the Dean of Women's offices, social rooms, and a gymnasium where women's physical education classes were held. A second phase in 1927 added a pool, lounges, a kitchen, and a food service unit called the refectory. That year, the building was named after Frank Pomerene, an 1891 graduate and one-time member of the Board of Trustees. Some of the students who used the building's pool formed a group called the Swan Club, a predecessor to Ohio State's synchronized swimming team. Following the construction of the Ohio Union in 1951, where both male and female students could gather together, Pomerene Hall lost most of its original functions. Many departments and administrative offices have since been housed there. By 2015, the building was showing its age, so university officials decided to rehabilitate the former student union for women, keeping as many historic features as possible. After a 3-year renovation project, the building reopened in 2018 as the new home for the Ohio State's Translational Data Analytics Institute, which teaches students how to use large amounts of data to solve problems related to a wide variety of scientific and social issues.